Omega has dropped one of the best looking Speedmaster automatics in years. Oris has dropped two very hot new dials. And Raymond Weil has released one of the best looking dress watches ever. A lot's been going on this month in the watch industry. Let's talk about it. This is the 38mm Milano Cortina edition. It comes in a 38mm stainless steel case with a thickness of 14.75mm, making it about 1.6mm thicker than a Speedmaster Professional because this comes with the automatic caliber 3330. It has a lug-to-lug of 45mm and now comes on a brand new Nixon-style 3-link bracelet with the brand's patented micro-adjustment system. And it retails for 5,300 Swiss francs or about 29,700 Malaysian ringgit, making it one of the most attainable Speedmasters in the modern Omega catalog. But this watch doesn't feel like a compromise compared to the standard Speedmasters automatic in 38, which lean more towards being feminine Speedmaster with a minimalist font, rounded markers and date window, and a bi-textured bezel that feels less utilitarian and more ornate. This watch feels more masculine in a way. It feels closer to the Speedmaster Professional. When I first saw this watch, I genuinely thought, before reading the title, I genuinely thought that this was a new Speedmaster Professional in a smaller size. And I was so excited until I read the specs and I was like, okay, no, this is an automatic. That's how close to the Speedmaster Professional this looks. Now we have a redesigned thicker bezel insert that looks less ornamental. The applied markers are more linear and extended. And even the sunken subdials are now redesigned to have a bolder and more legible typography. The dial is cleaner with reduced text under the logo. And one really interesting subtle Easter egg is the typeface on the date, which is based on the Milano Cortina 2026 logo. Even the dial texture has this cool bluish white snowy texture with touches of blue accents. This is what a well-designed special edition watch should look like. The design is clever and it's not too on the nose, except when you look at the case back. I think this will appeal to people who are in some capacity participating in the Winter Games. But besides that, also viewers who travel to watch these games live and then they want to bring back a premium souvenir that'll definitely outlast a t-shirt. But in my opinion, this is an important release because it introduces a brand new format for the smaller Speedmasters. Calls back to the older Speedmasters reduced, which for the Omega community, that's awesome. Oris has released two brand new watches back to back. One is the Big Crown Pointer Date Servo Volante in a new brownish orange colorway. While the previous Servo Volantes came in 38mm case sizes, this one comes in a 40mm steel case, speaking to a broader audience. We now have a thickness of 12.2mm, lug-to-lug of 48.2mm, dome sapphire crystal on top, still only 50 meters of water distance, but now with a more universal lug width of 20mm instead of 19mm we saw in the previous versions. The movement inside is still the caliber 754, which is essentially the automatic Sellita SW200-1 with up to 41 hours of power reserve. Oris has also released a brand new Diverse Date limited edition of just 250 pieces in collaboration with Red Bar Global Meetup. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this watch because I feel like it's already sold out, but I feel like this genuinely has to be one of the best looking community-driven watches that I've seen in a while. And what I noticed about this watch is how the community responded online. There was so much excitement and sharing of this watch across Instagram that it made me a bit sad that we don't see this as often. Like there's so much potential that's being wasted here, especially from a brand like Oris. Like they don't do traditional marketing, they don't have billboards, they don't do ambassadors, and they don't spend on that. So I feel like they need to spend a bit more on curating to the communities, growing their communities across the region. I mean, can you imagine like Oris and coffee collaboration or Oris and photographers community? There is so much potential of excitement that the brand can generate just by doing these sort of events. Let me know in the comments what kind of things would you like to see from Oris in terms of events. I'll share the comments with them. Alright, the next watch on this list is one of the best looking chronographs that you can find under $5,000, under $4,000. Now this is a brand new brand for me. Like, I've never talked about this brand. But when I saw the online press material for this watch, I was just blown away by how good it looks. And then I started reading about it, and this is not a cheap watch, especially for a brand that most of you may not have heard of. But hear me out. We know about Breitling's top time, the new top time that they released with a manufacturer movement. That movement was actually created by AMT manufacturer. That's Saleda's division that produces higher end movement. So this watch uses an AMT manufactured movement. Not only that, it uses a manual wind column wheel flyback chronograph. A few days ago, I was working on the script for the Longines Spirit Pilot Collection video. While doing the research for that video, I found out that there aren't that many watches that have a flyback chronograph, but there are even less watches that have a manual wind flyback chronograph. Most of them have an automatic caliber. The first automatic chronograph came out in 1969. Back then, we only had manual wind chronographs. But for some reason, very few brands are able to do it. So the fact that this has that kind of complication, plus it's an amazing looking movement, that's a bargain. But we don't buy watches just because of the movement. We buy it because it looks good. And I think this is genuinely one of the best looking chronographs, especially at this price point. When I saw this, I was like, okay, maybe it's a Breguet Type 20 homage, but the homogenization is being done based on original archive. Now, this 17th anniversary edition comes in a 39mm stainless steel case with a lug-to-lug of 47.5mm, but the thickness is where some of you may have a problem because it's almost like 15mm, but the case is actually just 11mm thick. Almost 3mm are dedicated to the crystal. On the wrist, visually, it's not gonna look bulky. I really hope. Dress watches are making a comeback, and Raymond Weil has released one of the best looking dress watches in my opinion, especially under $2,000. We've been seeing this trend recently, especially with microbrands, where the rules are less rigid and these elegant yet affordable watches seem to appeal to the younger generations as compared to like something more serious like a dive watch. This is a completely new collection within the Toccatta line. There's an obvious reference to the Patek Philippe Ellipse, but trust me, if you showed me both of these watches side by side without the brand logo, 100% I would go with the Raymond Weil. The dial looks like it has more life in it. The Dauphine hands and the way they typically bounce light off their faceted surface, the minute markers that add practicality, the case sides that look much more elegant in my opinion and much more architectural and organic. And on top of that, an exhibition case back featuring a manual wind movement. These come in 2 different sizes and a few different variants. The smaller ones measure 31 by 36mm with the thickness of 5.1mm and feature a quartz caliber with the starting price of 998 Swiss francs. The larger versions measure 33 by 38mm with a thickness of 6.95mm and feature the manual wind Salida SW210-1 caliber inside. And these have a starting price of 1,387 Swiss francs. There are obvious references to the Ellipse, but it's not a blatant copy. There's proper design that's gone into it. And that's something I want to see in person. Alright guys, that is it for this video. Let me know in the comments which of these are you most excited about. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want to see more. A lot more videos, a lot more reviews coming up soon. So stay tuned. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.